this is already 7 minutes, so I apologize already, but let's go ahead. I'll move on to, let me see. I think next I'm going to talk about the almanac. Yes, because the almanac was very big, but I think I stated it before, but I'm a very heavy stats and like figures kind of person. Stats and figures are the things that make the most sense to me. I'm very like research heavy a lot of the times. I think that's just my background, from where my social work background comes from, is because we were a very research heavy kind of program. So with the almanac, I kind of just like read through a lot of the different stats just because I found them very fascinating. So I'm just going to kind of talk about like the one that really stuck out to me. Since my background is a minor in women's studies, I found a lot of interest in the stats that would compare women to men in a lot of different ways. One of the first ones that stood out to me was how women fare compared to men in college and after. Sorry, one of the drawbacks to me talking is you also get to hear me stutter, so I apologize. But it's on the 40th page, and just from these stats, like, they weren't surprising to me at all just because of my background, but it was just kind of it was nice to almost see something confirmed with stats. So with this, it talked about how women would fare compared to men. So they had a very higher number of enrolled women to men in 2016, with a greater percentage of graduates from 4 years from 4-year colleges. But then at the same time, even though they had that greater success they still ended up not faring well with financial gain and financial reward. It also showed that more women than men borrowed money to attend colleges. And then that ties back into that women are more likely to go into debt and have more debt than men are for colleges. And it just kind of, with that small connection, just kind of shows all of these like connecting intersections that just really almost weigh on another person right after college. And then because they end up not making enough, they end up staying with that debt for longer than men. So even if like they only borrowed, like, obviously college costs more than $10, but if a man and a woman borrowed $10 at the same time from the same bank with the same interest, but afterwards, and then they get the same job right after, that woman is still going to have that debt for longer and probably get more interest on it, just because of the lack of financial gain after college and then the amount of debt that you have to borrow afterwards. Sorry, little tangent. I'm very passionate about women's rights and gender equality and all that other very good stuff. So that was the one that really like sparked something in me, I guess. The other just like really fascinating things I found were just like the fastest growing colleges. Like I'm just always really fascinated by how other colleges are faring against others, just because I come from an institution that is more it's not doing well to be the long of the short of it, or the short of the long of it. And it was just very fascinating to see like some schools that like I have either seen or like I visited, or like my sisters worked at several schools down in the South, and so Arkansas was on there for one of the larger institutions, or sorry, the like one of the fastest growing, and it was just very fascinating to see like schools like be in like the 1,000 range, and then schools also be in like the high 35,000 range, and so like they're gaining students almost at the same pace but still staying at such a low number. And then the one that just amazed me the most was California at, I'm not, Merced, it's MERCED. But they had a 470% increase. And so seeing that number is just like fascinating to me, because I'm just more or less curious as to how they got such a larger number of students coming in to a public institution, given it is California. But to go from about 1,200 to 7,300 in just 10 years is phenomenal. And those are really the only two I could say that really stuck out for me. Yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and move on to I think that's not it. I know it's not it. The American freshman. I apologize. I'm making sure I don't miss any, so I don't have to go back. So with this, I'm very fascinated by first year students in general, just because I find them to be in this very strange transitional period, and a lot of them are changing in a lot of ways. Like they may change their belief system, they may change like the way they see their future. I'm sure most of them are going to end up changing their major, and so this was very fascinating to me. And the thing that really was interesting, once again, was the thing comparing men and women together, and it's literally on page 6, so it's one of the first ones that caught my mind. But it was like questions like the ability to see the world from someone else's perspective, the tolerance for others and different beliefs, openness to having own views challenged, and ability to discuss and negotiate controversial issues, and the ability to work comprehensively with diverse people. I just found this stat so fascinating, because women ranked higher than men in 2016 for the ability to see someone's perspective and to tolerate others' views, and the ability to work with diverse groups of people. They always outranked men. But with the openness to having your views challenged and the ability to discuss and negotiate controversial issues, men always were above women on that one. And that's just so interesting to me, that because I've never really thought that could be a complete difference. Like I thought that women would always outrank men with that. But I think that just shows that the gender difference of like being able to have like tough conversations like this and being able to have debates, a lot of the times men feel more comfortable having these debates because they have more negotiating power, because a lot of the times women won't really want to argue, and women won't really want to challenge a belief in any way, because that's kind of how society is kind of taught. But with men, like a lot of the times they're allowed to talk about their beliefs, and they're allowed to argue, and they're allowed to have controversial debates. And it's kind of like I've always known that this was a thing, but once again it was kind of just confirmed with these stats. So other than that, I really wasn't surprised by too many things. This is kind of a passion area of mine, is first year experience and first year students, specifically like minority students and everything like that. So nothing really was too surprising to me. like I said, I'm a very facts and figures kind of heavy person, so this was just nice for me to read because I just found it very fascinating to see the different areas they looked at and how diverse college freshmen are becoming, and just seeing the change overall over the course of time. So yeah, I think that's all the readings. If it's not, I will add an extra video in here, possibly near the end or maybe right after this one, of the readings that I missed. But I think that's all. So I hope you have a good day, and I will talk to you next week. Bye-bye.